Hello, and welcome to the KCK Inspiring Moments with Kaylin radio show. I am your host, Kaylin John Louis, and y'all, I am so glad to be on the air with you all today. We are in 2025. It's a new year, and like I told y'all last week, I am simply trying to give you extra inspiration on the show every week. Thank you to everybody who listened last week and who consistently listens to the show. You all inspire me to consistently get on the show every single week. And I really hope you know that you're listening to a show that aims not just to help you get to the place where you want to be in life, but help you become the best version of yourself, because that is something I'm really big on. I encourage you to download the Hallelujah 95.3 app to listen to this show on the go on your electronic devices. Also tag somebody you know, have them listen in, specifically tag a youth, a young adult, somebody that you feel like can benefit from today's discussion, because I am truly excited for the guest that I have today. For those who weren't on last week, like I shared, every year in January, I'm always excited. This is the month where I actually got the opportunity to be on radio. So I will be going into my third year of being on air. And in the spirit of celebration, I started Inspiring Moments with Kaylin with inspiration. I want this month to be filled with that same thing. And I have a guest today who exudes just that and so much more. As we've stepped into 2025, a year filled with endless possibilities and opportunities, I feel that it's the perfect time to reflect on what it truly means to believe in yourself and embrace the power of self-love. And today's show is about resilience, growth, and discovering how to turn life's challenges into stepping stones toward greatness. I'm honored to be joined by a very special guest, someone whose journey embodies those themes in the most inspiring ways, which is Mr. Marquis Hill. He is a 19-year-old entrepreneur and motivational speaker and the visionary behind Love Yourself Co. And his story of turning heartbreak into purpose is nothing short of extraordinary. His mission is to empower others. And I really feel like it's a message we all need to hear as we start into the new year. So whether you're working on your goals, you're reflecting on your journey, or you're simply looking for that spark of inspiration to kickstart your week, this conversation is fine-tuned just for you. Together, we'll explore how to love yourself to greatness and make 2025 a year of transformation and triumph. Let's dive into today's upcoming discussion, which is Love Yourself to Greatness, a conversation with Marquis Hill, as we welcome him into the show.
Thank you. Your introduction is beautiful. That was amazing.
I'm so happy to have you on. Can you tell the audience a little bit more about who you are, especially for those who are unfamiliar with your journey, and just kind of share a little bit about what Love Yourself Co. is?
For sure. So again, my name is Marquis Hill, better known as Real MJ Hill on social media. I'm 19 years old now. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm an author of 2 books, and I'm the owner of Love Yourself. Just to give you all some backstory, my brand really started for me at the end of my junior year of high school. And it really sparked from just my own journey of losing myself and finding myself, not loving myself and learning to no longer seek the validation from others. It was a heavy thing on my heart to get across that message of one, taking care of you and making sure that you're loving you, but also encouraging others to prioritize their mental health. I feel like how we take care of ourselves, I feel like how we love ourselves is often a reflection of who we are in the world, how we treat others. The grace we give ourselves is oftentimes the grace that we give others. And that's my biggest goal behind my brand, why I started it. And we've been pushing that message of self-love, not only through clothing, but it originated only through motivational speaking, and really just, every opportunity I get spreading that message of staying true to you and letting your authenticity truly be your power.
I told y'all he was powerful, y'all. I just want to throw that in there. That story, I think I really was happy to, because for those who don't know, I got the opportunity to interview Marquis
Mm-hmm.
for an article with the FAMUN, but I really wanted to bring him to this platform just so that we could really have that conversation, because there's a lot of people that when you go into the new year, you're trying to discover who you are, you're trying to discover your voice, where you fit in. A lot of times everybody looks externally instead of internally to finding where they're meant to be. And I kind of just want to ask, why do you believe the start of a new year is a perfect time to focus on self-love and personal growth?
I feel like the way many people look at it, it's a fresh slate, it's a fresh start. It is an entirely brand new, the way I look at it, a brand new book, and it's waiting for you to write your story. And it doesn't matter what 2024 looked like, 2023 looked like, and so on. This year, if you make the decision to prioritize you more, to prioritize your mental health, to put yourself first, even if it's uncomfortable, this year will look different. And that's the way I go into every new year. I am a big believer in you're only one choice away, one decision away from changing your life and learning to love yourself. There isn't a magical potion, a magic secret, even with the new year. I agree that it's a fresh start, but if you don't do anything with that fresh start, it will look like a replicated year. It will be another year where, you don't set boundaries if you don't make that intention and make that decision. So I feel like, especially going throughout 2025, my biggest focus, and I'm sure that other people can relate to it, my biggest focus is no longer comparing myself. My biggest focus is showing up for myself and giving myself permission to be human. I feel like that's one thing that we oftentimes forget. We see people on social media and we see the content that they put out. We see people going to the gym. We see people with they dream bodies traveling to their dream places, and we see people getting their dream cars and dream houses, and we often feel within ourselves that we're not doing enough and that we are falling behind, when I believe we all go at our own pace. And I think one thing that people oftentimes forget is you're only seeing a glimpse of somebody's life, right? You're only seeing a post or a reel, a TikTok that somebody posted. You didn't see what they had to go through to get there. So I think for me this year, it's really focusing more on my journey. It's focusing on taking it one day at a time and documenting my process, because nobody will ever have Marquis's story and I will never have somebody else's story. So I feel like that's my biggest focus this year. And I think would definitely benefit some others if they, went through that same thing as me, dealing with comparison, overthinking, continuously scrolling on social media, feeling like I was behind. I think it's really focusing on your journey, your path, and understanding that your competition, it's only you.
That's really good. I'm really happy that that's something that you're able to focus on for your new year. If I add anything to it, I really do think that when you start the new year, even as I talked about last week with new year and having a new level of fire, a new level of motivation with you,
Mm-hmm.
getting this new year really is a blessing in disguise. I think a lot of people feel behind as the new years come, as new seasons come, and they see other people moving beyond what they're doing. And I
Mm-hmm.
really think that when you're able to look within and to kind of evaluate what you're doing personally, you
Mm-hmm.
can really start to see yourself. And I mentioned it a little bit last week, but I really do want to touch on that, being intentional with yourself, because I really think sometimes we're the hardest people to look at. We're our own worst critics, we're our own worst people that will sit there and knock down ourselves. We won't address the things. We'll give advice to everybody else and we're
Mm-hmm.
helping them with their lives. And then when we look at our lives, we're not in the right places. And so there's
Right.
a quote that actually says, love yourself first, because that's who you'll be spending the rest of your life with.
Come on.
And that is so true. You have to work on yourself because nobody's going to see you every single day. Nobody's going to know how much work you put into it. It's going to be you at the end of the day that sees those things for yourself. And that's why I even love, what you've done with your life and being able to empower people, because there are not many people who are able to be that source of motivation for others. I know we had talked about, previously, for going back to your story, just kind of how you dreamed of playing in the NBA and life had other plans. And so, how
Yeah.
were you able? I want to talk about that a little bit, because there's some people who in 2024 they dealt with the losing a loved one, they dealt with losing something within them, and it stopped them from bossing up into the best version of yourself. But how did you in your personal journey turn that heartbreak into a mission to inspire others and even inspire yourself to love yourself so much that you pushed yourself to greatness?
For sure. I will be transparent and open. It didn't start off like a comeback story, right? When, just to give you all some context, in the summer of my eighth grade year, I ended up having a diagnosis of a heart murmur. Basically, for anybody that doesn't know about that, basically it's when you have some holes in your heart, smaller, and pretty much it's allowing blood to go to places it does need to go. I had been playing basketball ever since I was in third grade, and I remember that dream, that fire that I had inside me, and how hard I would work towards this dream every single day, up at 5 a.m. in middle school. Like, all my friends thought I was crazy. I'll be running outside. I'm running laps after practice after we just got dogged by our coach. It was a real passion of mine. Like, I really wanted to be great in this thing called basketball. And when that happened in the summer of my eighth grade year, it was like I lost a part of myself. And I remember in that moment, I didn't have a positive outlook. Like, while I was sitting in the doctor's chair, I was keeping a straight face. But when I got into that car, I broke down in tears. This doctor just told me there was an opportunity that I could never play basketball at the level I want to because of a heart condition that I never knew I had. Right? It was one of the biggest pivots that I ever had to face in my life. And for me, it started off with weeks in my room where I wasn't motivated. I was in bed. I'm walking around the house, head down. And I remember, like, me and my pops had a conversation. He was like, listen, Keith, you can either walk around this house and dwell on the situation, or he was like, you can find something to give that energy towards. And for me, it was a wake up call. Like, basketball isn't the only thing I am, right? An athlete isn't the only thing I am. There's so much more to me. And I just had to find what it was. And during that time, when I started to really think about what I loved about basketball, what people, loved about me in basketball, it was never my skill. It was never the fact that I could jump the highest. I had the best jumper. I was the best on the team. Like, all my teammates will tell you, you ask them, Marquis was not the greatest D1 player going to the NBA lottery pick, but Marquis was the hardest worker on the team. Marquis was going to uplift his teammates when they needed it, and he was going to bring us together whenever we would fall apart. And for me, I realized, like, as an athlete, it was never my skill, it was my voice, right? It was my leadership ability. And that was one thing that I took up on. I picked up my phone, started making these daily motivational videos, and I had to go back in the archives and find the very first one I had made. But I remember, as I started to pour out my heart, and I'm in eighth grade at the time, I'm just sharing whatever's on my little eighth grade mind. And I'm just pouring out. I'm like, this is it. Like, this is what I enjoy doing. It started off with only a few people watching it. Like, my granny would be like, oh my gosh, I love this, baby. This is so beautiful. You're doing something positive, right? And during that time as well, it was definitely a shift because everybody wasn't clapping, right? Folks was like, yo, Keys, this is corny. You play basketball. What are you doing? But I think for me, I found my passion in speaking, and I made the decision within myself that didn't matter what anybody else was saying. This was my new thing. And for me, it was definitely a big pivot, but it was also me finding that perspective. Anybody that is dealing with a feeling of losing a piece of yourself, understand it doesn't happen overnight. Like, you have to give yourself time to process your emotions. You have to understand that it's not just the, oh, pick your head up, keep moving. It's not. That's not how we operate as humans. When we go through things, we got to feel our emotions. And I think that's one thing that sometimes, even as young men, we're taught to suppress our feelings, and we're taught just keep going. Don't worry about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, get stronger, buckle up. And I think for me, it was me going through that process of going through my emotions and finding the positive perspective in it. There's some situations where you feel like, yo, where is the positive? And it's like, what can I get out of this? But looking back on it, it was in me taking those 2 months to put down the ball where I really found my voice and where I really found what I now call my purpose. So I think it's really you allowing yourself to be human. Going back to what I said, give yourself permission to be human and to process your emotions. And then we find out what can we do with the situation, because we can't erase the pages. We have to learn to embrace them.
Ooh, that's so good. Even listening to what you said, like there's two real lessons in life that I got even just from your journey, which I think for others listening, number one, if you didn't get anything from that, know that one, you're more than your gift. Like a lot of times we think we're limited to the gifts God gives us, or
Yep.
we are only the work that we do, but you're so much more than that. And that's where loving yourself comes into play, because a lot of times we do so many things, we attach ourselves to so many titles, and we lose ourselves in the
Right.
different things that we're doing. And so you have to be able to make sure that even in those moments, you have to remind yourself that you are more than the gift that you were given, because that's what's going to push you to greatness. The
Yeah.
other thing too is that you gave yourself the space to be vulnerable and be real. I think the thing that stops people from reaching the point of greatness or even consistently working towards their idea of greatness is that they go through those heartbreaks, they go through those points in life, and instead of allowing themselves to feel the feels, they bottle it all up and turn it into nonchalant mode, or they
Mm-hmm.
choose not to care. They choose not to feel. And the thing I want everybody listening to understand is that you have to live in that uncomfortability. You have to live in those feelings where you're sad, or days where you may not want to keep going or you don't understand, in order to get to that place where you feel like, okay, I'm in a better place now. You got to go through those dark days with yourself of
Yep.
not always loving everything about yourself or not loving everything, and take the time to pour back into yourself. I have my godmother constantly talks about working the win within. We have to work on ourselves
Yeah.
and have those small victories within ourselves to be able to reach the point where we love ourselves. And when you love what you're doing, I really feel like it helps you have a greater, impact and joy when you're doing stuff.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
And what are some ways you feel like people listening can really take time to embrace themselves if they're at square one and they don't really know what to do?
I think it's finding what you do when nobody else is around. And I think it's finding what you find joy in when nobody claps for it. I think that's really what my self-love journey looked like. It was me discovering things that I did when nobody was watching, when nobody was rooting me on, or there was nobody's opinion in sight. Just what I did when it was just me and myself, and what brought me joy, what brought a smile to my face. I would say that is one, how I found things that I was passionate about. But on the other side, if we're talking about just like strategic things that I do to take care of me and to pour into me, one thing that I do that I think a lot of people would benefit from, I go on what I just call just my thought walks. It's just in my head. I just release all of the thoughts that I have, and I'll just go outside and notice my surroundings, notice, like process what I'm thinking in my head. And that's one thing that's really helped me, just like going on those daily strolls and taking that time for myself, putting my phone down and putting it on DND and not touching it, is one thing that has really helped me, just like take care of myself. Square one, something really simple, just my daily strolls. And I would say another thing that has definitely helped me just along my journey is fitness. That's one thing that I think a lot of people a lot of people probably avoid it because it's like, man, ain't nobody trying to work out right now, right? Like it can be challenging. And for me, like I was out of the gym for months. After I stopped playing basketball, it wasn't mandatory for me to be in the gym. So as I would, skip the gym time and time again, I felt that within myself. I felt that within, my body. And I feel like when I started to get back active and I started to go to the gym, it's not just about getting your dream body, but when you get active and you're taking care of yourself, like you're making that decision to take care of yourself, it's often a reflection of how you see yourself as well. Like when you make those decisions, those hard choices to put you first, to take care of you, you show to yourself that you value you. Like you show to yourself that you're worthy of showing up to the gym and taking care of your body. You're worthy of eating right. That's one thing that is a small change that I've made in my life that has helped me tremendously. Like the food that you put in your body plays a major role in how you feel about yourself and the energy that you have and the patience that you have. A lot of people don't realize it. It's like, we will skip the gym, eat a lot of junk, eat a lot of fast food, and wonder why we feel like this. We wonder why we feel so lackadaisical. We don't feel motivated. We don't feel like we love ourselves. We're not pouring into ourselves. And I think that's like one of the biggest things that I feel I've changed in my life, taking my daily strolls and learning to eat better and work out more. And that's been one thing that, at ground level, you can control. And if you start making those small changes, you're not gonna be vegan overnight or be a bodybuilder overnight. But as you begin to take care of yourself more, I feel like that's a great way for you to just take control of that self-love journey for you.
That's really good. I also would say for those, please know that self love goes in hand with self care, as Marquise just said. Please know that self care is not selfish. You cannot truly love anyone else until you show that self care and self love to yourself. So, yes, take care of your physical wellness as much as you take care of your mental wellness. Make sure that you're intentionally looking at the different things in your life. Set boundaries. Boundaries is one big thing to help you because sometimes you can have so many things that you're tied to, and you need to be able to have those boundaries and know your worth in certain situations so that you will continue to allow yourself to have that love for yourself. You also have to know that even when you're going through things and when you have moments where you don't always believe that it's going to work out in the end, you have to show up for yourself. There's going to be a lot of times where things do not make sense, but you have to love yourself enough to take care of yourself and be able to push yourself to bigger heights, you know? And so another thing that I do want to kind of ask because or go back to, because I know we mentioned it before, and y'all, I really do want y'all to support. That's the main reason why I like having guests come on, is because I'm real big on supporting local businesses, supporting those who are doing things in the community. And I want y'all to check out Love You Self Co, because it's not just a clothing line, as Marquis said, it is a movement. He is doing a lot to inspire others and inspire youth. How do you hope to kind of continue impacting current and future generations through your brand? And how do you just see it expanding? Like, what are you looking forward to?
For sure. I know one thing that is definitely heavy on my mental for this year is a lot of collaboration with different nonprofits that I truly respect and honor the work that they do, and being able to pour over the popularity of Love Yourself into a mission that serves a purpose much bigger than us. That's one thing I'm truly looking forward to. People that have nonprofits that do work in the mental health space and in the self-care space, it's definitely collaborating with them and creating experiences. That's one thing that I plan to do with my brand a lot more, bigger than just pop-up shops or, running an online business, but actually creating the spaces where we can be open, transparent about our mental health and, have those conversations, men and women, and learning to process and pretty much dive deep into a lot of things that we may have kept silent within ourselves. That's one thing that I see with my brand, especially working towards it this year and every year, just creating those spaces, those physical spaces, like no matter where you're at, just figuring out how we can bring people together. Because I feel like the clothing, the thing I love about it most is the fact that it's community based. My brand isn't the my brand is more so a feeling more than anything. And that's one thing I constantly remind people. Like some people will say, man, don't you think your logo is pretty simple? It's a conversation starter. It's a message that's much deeper than just what you see on the merchandise. And I think that's one thing I truly appreciate about my brand and what I hope to do through my brand, of course, giving people something that they can throw on and feel confident in and put together a nice outfit with. But the more the brand grows, just creating bigger and bigger experiences where we can come together and have those real conversations and have fun, bring back the community and the authenticity that I feel a lot of us are needing in this time. So that's especially like some of the biggest things I'm looking forward to, just those collaborations and starting to build up that community again.
Yes, y'all. He said communities. He's in multiple communities. So for all my people on FAMU campus, y'all already know Set Friday. We see him out there.
Yeah,
But love
love
yourself.
set.
So go ahead and make sure that if you going to Set that you are looking at his brand and not just you got the word here now. You got to see the story behind it. So get motivated. Go ahead and support. I love the merch. I say that all the time. I think it's cool.
Come on. Hey.
But I want you to kind of before we are as we get ready to wrap up because time is going down. I do
Mhm.
want to ask, what is a piece of advice that you would leave with my audience for 2025, whether that's to young adults like us who are looking to grow their brand, grow who they are, or just simply trying to recognize that potential within them? What's one thing that you would say to them that can kind of carry them through this year?
I would say one of my best pieces of advice, one thing that has been a big perspective switch for me is everything that I hope to be, that I dream to be, I already am. And that's what anybody listening to this is what I would tell you. You aren't as far as you think you are from these goals and the person that you want to become. The biggest thing that you need to focus on is the small changes in your day to day. Control what you can control and understand that everything that you dream to be, you already are. And I think another thing I would say is anybody with a dream currently, it may look like this isn't working out. This isn't what I expected. How am I going to get past this? And what I will say, no matter how it looks for you right now, understand that this isn't where you'll always be. And I just want to encourage you and remind you that there's nobody more powerful than a person with a dream, with the audacity to believe that they can make it their reality. Like if you can have that crazy faith within yourself and no amount of no's and rejection can stand in your way, you're not afraid of doing the hard things, embarrassing yourself, nothing in this world can stop you, nothing or nobody. So just take that bet on yourself and understand that you're not as far as you think you are from becoming the person you dream to be.
Well, y'all heard it here first. I hope y'all are taking notes on the different nuggets of wisdom that have been dropped throughout the show. But thank you so much, Marquise, for having this conversation with me. I'm so glad to have been able to have you as a guest on the show. And of course, I want people to know how they can connect with you, especially if they're young adults, especially our young men who just need somebody to look up to or want to ask some questions. How can people connect with you?
For sure. All platforms, my Instagram, my TikTok, my YouTube is real MJ Hill. That's RealMJHill. And if you all want to book me to speak at your event, you can go to realmjhill.com. And if you all want to check out the merchandise, we do a monthly exclusive drop, new products every drop. And you can find the merchandise at loveyourself.shop. And that's LOVEYASELF.shop. But Kaylin, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the conversation and for making the time today. And I love what you're building.
Thank you so much, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Inspiring Moments with Kaylin radio show. If you haven't taken anything else from the show, I want you to know that you have every tool within you to boss up to greatness. Do not allow the worries of the past to stop you and keep pushing forward because the year just started. You have 11 more months to go and you never know where you could be at that moment. Before I wrap up, I do ask that you follow me on my social media platforms. You can subscribe to the Kaylin's Caring Connection YouTube channel at KCK Inspire Moments with Kaylin. You can follow me on Instagram at Kaylin Cares 15, also on Facebook and LinkedIn at Kaylin's Caring Connection. And by all means, please check out the website, which is www.kaylinscaringconnection.com. And as I wrap up, I want you to remember one thing. You are loved, you are enough, and you matter. Don't let anyone tell you any different. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next KCK Inspire Moments with Kaylin radio show. Until next time, be blessed.